Okay. So, so we were on the 38th shloka. So far we have, the focus was up to 30th, from 11th to 30th shloka, we were focusing on the Sankhya Yoga, which is the knowledge of Atma. And from 31 to almost 37, we were talking about Dharma. What is Swadharma? What is the duty of Arjuna at that point? So duty is something which is not permanent, not like Satya. It is dependent on the role that we are playing. So we talked about the Dharma. What is the advantage of being in Dharma, doing the right thing, doing your duty correctly versus not doing your duty? So what is the effects of not doing your duty? So that is what was discussed up to this point. This is the beginning of Karma Yoga. Bhagwan is not using the word Karma Yoga here. He uses the word Buddhi Yoga, and he used the word Yoga. So when he uses the word, the two words are used, Sankhya and Yoga. So Sankhya is the what I would call it as Jnana Yoga, and the everything else inclusive is Yoga, which includes the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and if you can think of other yogas that basically take you towards that divine, falls into that category. So that's what we are talking about, and in that we are focusing on what is called as the Samatva Bhava, and we will try to understand what Samatva means. Okay. Basically, what Samatva means is when we are same in pairs of opposite. That means if suppose something favorable has happened, I am good. If something unfavorable has happened, I am still good, that I don't lose my mind on things like that, So what happens is normally when the mind is not in samatvam, so if something favorable happens, we are jumping with joy. If something unfavorable happens, we are looking to basically blow on something, either the situation or the person or the whatever the thing may be. If something fails, then it is not acceptable to us, So that's where this verse comes in. So Bhagavan says, Sukha Dukhe Samay Kritva. Samay Kritva means with that equanimous mind, whether it is Sukha or Dukha. Sukha Dukha here is, it's a favorable or unfavorable results. You may get any of those things, and whatever you get, have a equanimous mind. And beside, because other pairs of opposite that Bhagavan mentioned here is Labha, Labhav. Labha, Labhav means the profit and loss. And the Jaya, Jayo, victory or defeat. So in all these situations, you just get engaged in the action. Let the results be whatever it comes. But you should have a equanimous minds. Tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papama avapsyasi. In this case, Bhagavan says, Tato yuddhaya. That means, see, normally I talked about it last time also, but I want to repeat it because it's important to understand. Normally, when people translate something like this, they will say that we should be same in gain or loss, or profit or loss, or victory or defeat, or all the pairs of opposite. We should remain the same in the result. But here Bhagwan is saying, this is the attitude we have to have before we engage in this world, before we engage in this karma. So once we engage in the karma with this attitude, then whatever happens, happens, Ke sara sara. Jo hoega so theek hai, jo bole so nihal. So this is what Bhagwan is trying to say here. Because, the karmas have a very unique problem. The problem is that results are not in our hands. We can do whatever karma we want, but results are not something that we can control. So there are 4 types of results that are possible. One is that you are, say, trying to get a job or get an order or get a contract, and you get that contract. That's number 1. So whatever you decided, you got. Second is, whatever you wanted, you didn't get. Suppose you wanted to, you are playing a game and you wanted to win and you lost. So because there are only 2 options available in that case, so you lost. So that is the second type. Third type is that whatever you expected, you got way more than that. Suppose you were doing some scientific experiment and that experiment became such a great hit that you got Nobel Prize, So the Nobel Prize was not even expected for something like this, but you got it. So this is what karma phala is. Your prarabdha kind of pushed you into achieving something great. So that's the third type. Fourth is that you are trying to get something and it ends up in bringing something really miserable. You are thinking, okay, let me figure something out or get something, and you end up in jail or something really terrible happens. So these are the 4 types of results you can expect. So point here is that no matter what happens, because results are not in our hand. So Bhagwan says, have a balanced mind, because every karma cycle is very short run. जो भी हो रहा है वो थोड़ी देर उसका effect रहता है, उसके बाद फिर another cycle starts. The karma is a continuous chain. So it is not like कि life में एक बारी कोई कर्म करेंगे. We are continuously doing, so, but what happens is, if the results are unfavorable, so I'm just talking about 2 things, favorable and unfavorable. If the results are unfavorable, what happens? Our mind gets very agitated. When the mind is agitated, we are frustrated and we are angry. And where does this anger go? It goes to either the situation or the people around us, right? So no matter what happens, this anger is what is going, because results or expectation is based on our raga dvesha. If it is favorable, means my expectation, this is what I like, this is what a desired result is. So that is raga. And what is dvesha, which is undesired. I don't want to, if suppose I like somebody, I want to meet them again. If I don't like somebody, I say, you know what, I'm not going to the party because Shekharji is coming there. So point here is that no matter if you have to face the unfavorable situation, you have to face it. So this is what happens. This is the cycle of karma. Yes.
So I think in the last class, we distinguished between expectation of result, which would be the rag desha, matlab you favor one kind of outcome, just say business may or for children or anything like that, or even when you sit in meditation, you want your meditation to be peaceful, whatever. However, independent of the outcome, like the result, when you begin the action, you do have usually an intention to achieve, or like Arjuna, Sri Arjuna was trying to, even with the Samatva Bhava and everything, his intention was to defeat the other army. Now, whether the result happens or not, that comes later. But at the very beginning, one can still have a intention, right, to prefer a certain outcome, meaning that's why you are, suppose you plant a seed, you want the seed to blossom or something like that, rather than not. So, right?
Absolutely. Without having a destination, you don't start to drive. So you have to have a result in mind. Point is, whatever is going to come is not basically in your control. So things may be favorable or things may be unfavorable. You are trying to say, like, take example of Arjuna only. He had come for the war. So he is ready for the war, So whether he wins or he loses, that is up to whatever the karma phala he is supposed to get. But point is, he has to do his best in that role. As a general, as a warrior, he has to do his role. His dharma has to be that he has to perform to best of his ability.
Right. So since
that
fighting,
means he's going for that result. So
right, 100%, 100% is going for the result. Right.
Exactly, 100% he's going for that result. Whether he will win or lose, that's the point that Bhagwan is discussing here. After that, tato yudhaya yujyasva. See, abhi to hum first line pe the, that in all pairs of opposites, we have to have a very balanced mind, because the results will be the outcome is going to be whatever, we don't know. But he says, with that attitude of samata, you engage in this war. Tato yudhaya yujyasva. That you engage in this war, Bhagwan is telling Arjuna that you have to do this. The war is your goal. You have to do this to win. Not like, okay, chalo ji, jeet gaye, nahi jeete, koi baat nahi. That's not the attitude. They're not like our, earlier how our Indian cricket team used to be. That killer instinct was not there. And I'll talk about that also. That tato yudhaya yujyasva naivam papama avapsasi. Now, this is the attitude with which you engage. That is not an attitude of a defeatist. This is an attitude of somebody who will not be, because what happens is, suppose if I lose the first war, the first battle. So in war, you have many battles, right? If I lose my first battle, I'll be totally disheartened, Arey yaar, aaj to mujhe, Dushasan ne hara diya, or for whatever thing that I could not even compete with Dushasan or Duryodhan, and he is disheartened. When he is disheartened, he is going to get blown away, right? This is what happened with our Bhishma, not Bhishma, with Dronacharya. So when his raga for his son was so great, his attachment to his son was so great that when they announced that Ashwathama is dead, and dhire se bole naro va kunjaro, but that was a क्या बोलते हैं उसको, that narrative was set. आजकल की मीडिया की लैंग्वेज में, that the narrative was that, okay, your son is dead. Fake news. अभी आज की नहीं है fake news. Fake news बहुत पुरानी है. So fake news was कि Ashwathama is dead. And when he heard that fake news, that Ashwathama is dead, what did he do? He just left his bow and arrow. He said, I am not going to fight. So Krishna says, Arjuna, now is the chance, just kill him now. Arjuna said, no, I can't kill him. He's like, बिना हथियार के मैं किसी को कैसे मार सकता हूं? So at that time, what's his name? Drishtadumna. He jumped from his chariot and basically cut him off, killed him. Point here is he was born to do that. दृष्टद्युम्न का जन्म ही सिर्फ द्रोणाचार्य को मारने के लिए हुआ था. यज्ञ किया था उसके पिताजी ने, द्रुपद ने. Raja Drupad had done the yajna so that the son who is born will avenge his insult, basically to kill Dronacharya. So he got the opportunity, killed him. He was the great warrior though, So point here is things are going to happen, but if we have a balanced mind, our mind will not be disturbed. So the disturbed mind will create agitations, will create frustrations, will create all kinds of negative tendencies in us. So that's one way to look at this thing. The other way to look at it is, for any growth, we have to have a balanced mind. We talked about it last time also, that, for a C-level positions, for like CEO, or they have to be in situations which they will be facing 80% adverse situation where they have to make decisions, and they have to keep a very balanced mind. Only then they will be successful. If suppose they hear like 3-4 bad news in a row and they are disheartened, then they can't take decisions, good decisions. So that's one way to look at it. The second is, for a sadhak to progress in his sadhana, he has to have this attitude. Because if I sit in meditation for 5 minutes and for 5 minutes my mind is running after 500 different things, then I get disheartened that, okay, this is not for me, and I'll give up. Chalo, meditation mere bas ki nahi hai, So that is why this is the beginning, the prerequisite for Karma Yoga. We have not even started talking about what Karma Yoga is. So right now, Bhagavan is saying that develop this attitude, tato yuddhaya, and then engage in this, the world, this war, The other thing that we have to think about is that when our actions are based on raga dvesha, that means that, okay, I want this result and only this result. If I get anything else, I'll be really angry. I'll be miserable, So for that kind of people, sadhana is not possible. For sadhana, we have to have this, because our goal is not engaging in karma. Our goal is to get out of this karma cycle. That is the goal. But as long as we are in this body, in this life, we have to keep engaging in karma, in the world of karma, in the cycle of karma. We have no choice. This is how we are. Everything that we are actually is nothing but karma phala. This body is a karma phala. The food we eat is karma phala. The family we are born in is a karma phala. The wife we get is a karma phala. The friends we make are karma phala. So everything is karma phala only. So that is why we have to accept it with a very equanimous mind. That means whatever is coming, it's Bhagwan's gift to me, So, so here the word papa, another thing I want to mention is that because of hundreds of years of external influences in our culture and in our system, we have inherited their way of looking at things. So we equate sin of Christianity or the Islam to Papa. But it is not. It is not equivalent. That same way we use the religion for Dharma, which is nothing, there is no comparison, because for us the religion would be what we call as sampradaya, a certain belief system, certain way that we have been doing things, So there are several sampradaya. So each one is a religion in itself. But Dharma is universal. Dharma is not a way of doing things. So that is why we always try to respond to the Western way of looking at things, especially the Protestant way of looking at things. So if they say the world is clearly divided between the Papa and Punya, the morals, now, who is deciding those morals? It must be in one of their 10 commandments. But point here is we are not focused on doing the right thing. Our focus is on having a very equanimous mind, which is two different things. See, focus is not on what you do. Focus is on how the mind's attitude should be. That is one way to grow. So anyways, because we are always responding to the Western thoughts, we use their terminology. We are actually playing in their turf instead of bringing them to our turf with the different definitions of each of these things. We have accepted their definition as the true definition, and we just respond to their definition as the way it is. So anyway, आप कुछ कह रहे थे शायद.
So Rajiv, two clarifications. One is that since the word pap is mentioned, maybe you were just going to explain that, and if you're going to do that, I'll wait for my question. But so punya and pap both are produced when there is a karta bhav or some rag and dvesh, ना मतलब ये समता भाव से अगर हम काम करें तो मतलब it not only avoids पाप, it also does not produce any पुण्य. मतलब समता भाव का मतलब कि पुनर्जन्म, मतलब basically we're free of the cycle of birth, and अगर पुण्य भी किया तो स्वर्ग में जाके जन्म होगा, और पाप किया तो whatever lower realms and all that. So samta bhav means you're neither creating punya or pap. Now that's one thing I want to confirm. The second thing is that in the way we're using the word karma is slightly is confusing me, because there is the action, just to use an English word, if the action is done with rag dvesh, usse karm matlab कर्म के संस्कार पैदा होते हैं, whatever, which result in the later on the fruition of that, right? So there's a karmic imprint and there's the action itself. Now what you're saying is कि समता भाव से अगर हम काम करें, there is no karmic imprint. There's just pure action. Whatever result happens, you accept it with equanimity. So the word karma is being used in multiple ways, na, in the way you're talking about it. Just the pure action as well as the karmic imprint, right?
Yeah. When an action is driven by a desire, then it is a karma. Any action, because what is going to happen is it will give you some result. The result could be favorable or unfavorable. If it is favorable, it gives me sukha. If it is unfavorable, it gives me dukkha. Based on the sukha or dukkha, it creates new vasanas in me of that I want to repeat it or I want to avoid it. If I want to repeat it, then it goes into the bucket of desired things to do. Suppose I watch a movie, season 1, and then I like that movie. So it will create a raga for season 2. That season 2 comes, I have to watch it. If I say I went to some restaurant and the experience was terrible, and then say, I'm never coming back to this restaurant again. So that is the dvesha. Point here is that raga, dvesha, both are going to be binding.
But
no matter what, they
right,
are
but
both karma. They actually create the karma bandhan. So
right.
positive ones create a bandhan for repeating it. The negative ones create a bandhan for not repeating it or avoiding it. So you will be careful not to get into it, or you want to get into it, depending on whether it was favorable or unfavorable.
Now, sukh and dukh is not the same as punya and pap, ना मतलब punya and pap is connected with dharma. आप अपना स्वधर्म का पालन कर रहे हो या नहीं कर रहे हो. While sukh and dukh is just what your preference is, what you desire, जो आप चाहते हो, जो आप नहीं
Dukh
चाहते हो.
is, yeah. So, okay, let me start from the at a higher level, you know. So, सुख दुख किसको हो रहा है? अहंकार को हो रहा है. आत्मा को तो कोई सुख दुख नहीं है, you know. आत्मा तो सच्चिदानंद स्वरूप में है, you know. सुख दुख की जो एक्सपीरियंस है वो सिर्फ अहंकार को है. अहंकार इज द वन विच इज इन दिस बंधन. सो अहंकार को ही सारी प्रॉब्लम्स है. सो एट दिस पॉइंट द होल game is to get out of jo what Bhagwan is going to get into right now is into the karma yoga, which is basically from the ahankar point of view. So ahankar ko negate nahi kiya hai, ahankar ko negate nahi kar rahe hain. All we are saying is that with this attitude the ahankar's raga dvesh will be depleting. This attitude is to reduce the raga dvesh. That's all.
So okay. I don't know if it is a comment or a question. I'm confused myself. So जो Bridji बता रहे थे ना कि let's say you all actions are performed with a desire. Every action has a, you know, there's something that, you know, motivates us, or I don't know, there's something that pushes us for an action. So when we do an action, and if the results come as per our expectations, that's sukha. That's equivalent to sukha.
Yes.
And if that action brings us the results that we didn't expect, that's dukkha, correct?
Unfavorable, yes.
Unfavorable. So sukha and dukkha is basically defined as based on our expectations itself. Ki hum wo,
absolutely.
You know? Okay.
Absolutely. You're right. Right on the dot, you know.
Okay, thank you.
That's correct. So
building on that, if there was no desires, the actions won't come, then the dukkha sukha will not come at all.
Actions will come, but there will be no karma that will bind you.
But the desires are creating some action, right?
Desires
dharma can also create action.
Is, you know.
Okay, so karma can also create action. Okay, I correct myself. Okay, but the desire portion that creates the action creates dukkha and sukha. So the desires are the problem.
Yes.
That are causing the act, the sukha and the dukkha.
Desire is always for the result.
Correct. So the expectation is there. So it'll always create a problem. Either be sukha or dukkha.
Correct.
So it'll either foster the ego, ahankar, or hurt the ego.
So even for a kamya karma means for a desired action also, Bhagwan is saying that if you have a Samatva Bhava, that means if you are ready to accept whatever results come, then also it is good. That is like the stepping stone for the karma yoga. So it is not saying that don't have a desire. अभी तक भगवान ने desires की बात ही नहीं करी है. All Bhagwan is saying is attitude की बात करी है अभी. So,
but in fulfilling,
we are not talking about having no desire. What we are saying is, whatever results come, we should be ready to accept it with a equanimous mind or equanimity. You know, that's what it is saying. Bhagwan is not talking about desires yet. It will come. So desires is a very important part of this whole thing. But right now, he is not talking about desires. All he's saying is, तुम अपना धर्म करो भैया, तुमको यहाँ पे युद्ध के लिए आए हो, यू आर ए जनरल, यू हैव टू फाइट, यू आर अ वॉरियर, सो एंगेज इन द फाइट, engage in this war with the attitude of sukh dukhe samay kritva labha labhav jaya jayo. So with whatever pairs of opposite happens, whatever happens, but you should, because that is not in your control. So whatever happens, you still engage. That's the whole point. Simple, very simple message here. ततो युद्धाय युज्यस्व नैवं पापम अवाप्स्यसि, दैट इसमें कोई आपको पाप लगने वाला नहीं है, so पाप लगने वाला नहीं है मतलब, because see, this is what I want to mention a few things, because this is like the foundation class, chapter 2 is where we build the definitions. So धर्म की definition शुरू में भगवान ने बताई थी. There are only two types of dharma. One is called the pravarti dharma and nivritti dharma. Pravarti dharma is where you engage in this world, which means this jiva bhava is strong. That means I am a jiva and I am in this world. I have to engage in this world. So that engagement in this world with is called the pravarti dharma, and the nivritti dharma is where you have decided, okay, this ahankar itself is mithya. That one that I was thinking, this Rajiv is, actually I am not this identity. I am not this conditioning. I am something different from this conditioning. I have just assumed that condition. So that nivritti dharma is where we are headed towards. But right now we are in the pravarti dharma. That means I have to engage, but Bhagavan is pointing out with what attitude I should engage is the question here, So, and what is the role for, what is the goal for our karma? So there is only one goal for karma, that is chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi means that we want to, the simple translation is cleansing of mind. Or the other way to look at it is that preparing our mind for something higher. So chitta means the mind, shuddhi means cleansing, that we are cleansing our mind by engaging in karma with that attitude. So that means we will be reducing our raga dvesha. This is what this attitude will do. It will reduce our raga dvesha. And so that's, so the first step, it's a two-step process basically. The first step is reducing the raga dvesha or the chitta shuddhi, and the second step is jnana yoga, which is the desire for that moksha, or the oneness with our true identity. That means dropping the attachments with the conditionings. That's what the moksha is. So moksha is not like a state. See, normally when you say, okay, you know what, inko badi siddhi prapt ho gayi hai. Bhagavan says, I don't care about siddhi. I care about samta. I care about your achievement. See, siddhi is an achievement. Bhagavan doesn't give a, about siddhis. It doesn't care about what you have achieved in life. It doesn't care, What Bhagavan cares about is have the mind which is ready to receive me. That is the goal, So anyways, so let's continue. So goal is in the purity of mind or the chitta shuddhi. And here, just I was thinking maybe we'll talk about a little bit of the why Bhagwan is saying all these points. So Bhagwan is actually answering to all the questions that were raised by Arjuna. So I kind of made a little small list. So he says, Bhagwan, first he says is, there is no kalyan in this war. I don't see anything auspicious about this war. So why are we engaging in it? And these were points coming from his raga towards his grandfather and teacher. So he says, I don't want to get involved in it. Bhagwan says, no, as a Kshatriya, there is nothing better than this opportunity for a warrior to get engaged in this dharmic war. So what you are saying is inauspicious. It is actually most auspicious. And then he says, how can we be happy with this war? We will never be happy if, with the outcome that we will have, we can never be happy. He says, the Kshatriya who gets this opportunity will always be happy. This is the most glorious thing. All the Kshatriyas wait for some opportunity like that I can be the protector of my country or do something that is valiant or that is something that protects Dharma. So you have to get engaged. Then he says, no, but killing my grandfather and my teacher, I'm going to go to hell, this is Nark Dwara. So Nark ki prapti hogi. Bhagwan says, no. If it is the righteous war, even if you die, you will go to Swarga. So if I get involved in this yuddha, then I am actually incurring sin. I'm using the word sin, but papa just means attachment to the results. That is papa, where favorable or unfavorable, because that is binding. Anything that binds you is papa. Kehta hai, if you don't fight, it will be papa. Usne kaha tha, if I engage in this yuddha, it will be a papa. Bhagwan says, no. If you don't engage, it will be papa. Or now Bhagwan is saying that if you engage with this mindset, sukha dukkhe samay kritva, naivam papam avapsasi. That means you will never incur sin. Then he says, if we get involved in this war, then it will be end of our dharma. Dharma ka nash ho jayega. Bhagwan ne kaha, ye yuddh na karne se dharma ka nash ho jayega. Because you are giving opportunity for the adharma to take over. So you have to fight this. And then he says, why are you putting me through this terrible act of this war? I am ready to take a begging bowl and just become a sannyasi. He was ready to do that. Bhagwan says, no. We make sometimes terrible choices based on our raga dvesha. So don't, make your choices based on your attachments here. You have to go beyond the pairs of opposite. That's what the whole point is here. So the dropping or reducing the attachments to the result is going towards karma yoga. So now let's just talk about what they are talking about here with this next verse. It says, Esha te abhita sankhya. Now he says, basically, abhitak, I have told you this whole, lecture I have given you was about Sankhya. Sankhya means that oneness, that Atma, the Jivi, the Shariri, all the words that Bhagwan had used, that I was telling you about the Paramarth goal, the ultimate goal that you have. If you understand that and you identify with that I am that, one with that universe, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you think you are not ready for it, then I am going to talk about Buddhir Yoge Tvimam Shrunu. Now you listen to what I am talking about as Buddhi Yoga. Now here, this Buddhi Yoga, Buddhi is intellect, but here Buddhi word is used for Gyan. Gyan means the knowledge. So this yoga is not the Gyan Yoga, but Buddhi Yoga is collection of all the other yogas, which is your Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, whatever other yogas that are possible. Even a new yoga can come in and say, okay, put it in the same bucket now. So in this Buddhi Yoga, Tvimam Shrunu. Shrunu means listen to it now. So Bhagavan is going to elaborate now till the shloka 53. Bhagavan talks about what is Karma Yoga. And Buddhaya Yukto Yaya Parthe. O Partha, this Buddhaya, this Buddhi Yoga, Yukto. Now, this word Yukta is very important. Yukta means, Yukta is defined when there is no internal conflict. Internal conflict means if your intellect says, you know, we should do this right thing, I should tell this truth, but your mind is saying, no, 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 no. If you say this, then you will be in trouble. You know, something like that. I'm just giving some strange examples, but there is always things like that where your mind and intellect are not in sync. Suppose you have a diabetes, you know, this is the common example given, and or you have a problem with sugar, but you love sweets. So when you look at sweets, your intellect saying, no, no, don't even look at it. But your mind is saying, you know, it's already salivating, your mouth is salivating, and you want to try that. So that means there is an internal conflict going on. A yukta person is the one where the mind and the intellect are one. That means they listen to each other. So that's what yukta means. Buddhaya yukto yaya parthe. But once you have developed that karma yoga, you will be a yukta purush. Yukta, integrated personality. That means without any conflicts, without any internal conflicts. Tuimam shrunu tu. That means you listen to me, what I'm going to tell you now in the next several verses. What will it do? What will this do for you? It says, karma bandham prahasyasi. That means it will remove or destroy your karma bandhana. What is karma bandhana? Karma bandhana is what pushes us to get involved in the world. What is driving our raga dvesha? What is the bandhan is where we are forced to engage. We get involved in this continuous beating of the world, you know, that we are ready to take. So this is going to continue because we have, we don't have the attitude of sukha dukkhe samay kritva. So yukte buddhayaha. So yukte buddhaya means where the mind is totally in that line, you know. So anyways, so we talked about, Bhagavan has already said that I have already talked to you about the Sankhya, which is the study of or the understanding of the highest goal, which is Paramartha Vastu, which is the Atma. And now I am going to talk about this yoga. And he calls it Buddhi Yoga here, and he also calls it Buddhi Yoga in some other places also. So basically, the purpose is to remove the transmigration of the lives after life after life. Life after life after life means that we go through suffering over suffering over suffering over suffering. Either it is created by us or based on whatever prarabdha we have brought with us. So to get out of this, this is what the goal is, that this shoka moha samsar, that is basically he defines it as shoka moha. Shoka moha means that we are continuously in this delusional state that Bhagavan is pointing to, and it is parichinna. Parichinna means that I am this finite body, this finite person, and I am basically a collection of parts. That I have a few body parts, and I have a mind, I have a intellect, I have all these things. That collection is called Rajiv, or this person. So this person, Bhagavan says that this is going to get you out of this karma bandhana. Both these things, Sankhya and karma. But Shankaracharya then more refines it later. He says, through jnana, it is direct. For karma yoga, it is indirect. Indirect means that through karma yoga, you develop the chitta shuddhi. That means you cleanse yourself so that you are ready for this moksha. Because once you have reduced your raga dvesha, otherwise our whole life runs around raga dvesha. That means I will do what I like to do over and over, over and over. So Bhagavan says, if you just slow down a little bit, get the raga dvesha, reduce these raga dvesha or totally eliminate them, and then you get out of this karma bandhan. So that's where I think we should stop. And so there is a direct means and there is the indirect means. They both lead to the same moksha. The goal is same, but two different paths. So let's stop here, but we will take a couple of questions and then we can close the recording. But we can, go ahead with your question.
We can close if you want. Let me pose the question. You can decide when to answer it. One is that समता भाव से कुछ भी हम कार्य करें तो उससे फिर वो कर्म बंधन नहीं होगा. However, समता भाव can be brought to any action, अगर वो कर्तव्य हो या ना हो. I was just thinking कि there are two independent things. एक तो समता भाव लाना with any action, लेकिन कर्तव्य करना या ना करना, अकर्तव्य करना, that's like an independent dimension. मतलब कि एक तो राइट, बिकॉज एक तो पाप पुण्य इस तरह से लगता है कि राग द्वेष है और समता भाव नहीं है, लेकिन अगर कर्तव्य नहीं किया उससे भी पाप है और अकर्तव्य किया उससे भी पाप है. मतलब these things are independent of each other, ना?
Yes. See, when we talk about this samta bhav, it is an attitude. Action is different than attitude. With what attitude you engage is what we were talking about here. So pap is not with the attitude, pap is with the action. The more raga dvesha, the more pap. Even raga is pap, dvesha is pap. They will both, as long as you are developing the karma bandhan, that means a desire for repetition of the same thing. It is a sin. Sin. Again, I'm using that sin word, Papa. Pap is not sin. Pap is attachment that will cause bandhan.
So that's a different definition of pap and punya than swarglok, naraklok type ka definition.
ऐसा है कि हमारे दो पोर्शन होते हैं वेदों के. Ved is divided into Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. So Purva Mimamsa is where all the karma kand is, which means this action will give you this result, this will give you, so favorable, unfavorable, इसको आपको स्वर्ग मिलेगा, इसमें आपको, but nothing is permanent. So everything is based on your action, you get equivalent result, So अगर आप, if you have deposited $1,000, you only get $1,000, maybe a little bit of interest with it. Lekin, see, that is the big difference between the Semitic religions is that if you have accepted their ideology, you get a permanent heaven, right? So permanent heaven ke liye, you don't have to do anything, right? You just have to accept something, Now, point is, हमारे शास्त्र कहते हैं कि कुछ भी चीज परमानेंट हो ही नहीं सकती. For your impermanent actions, you only get impermanent results. How can you get a eternal result for an impermanent action? So, I'm not dissing the Semitic religions here. I'm just telling you the difference, though. All right, let's conclude now, but we will continue our discussion.
Yeah.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.